Welcome back, Endgame fam. It is time to get our draft on once again. You want to draft with us? Should I say against us? Here we go. You have your chance. If you're nice and early, you've been waiting, sometimes like to go live a little early, about 2 minutes before schedule, just to see who is really ready to draft. All right. And yeah, I know Jordan's ready. I think he's ready. I'm not sure. I can tell. Do you think he's ready for fantasy football season?
I think he's ready. I'm ready. I think we're all ready. Let's go.
All right, well, let's go. If you're waiting for the link, here it is. Jump in here with us. Chris, randomly, I'm sure, got the one. He does the random selector, get the one here. Look, the 1.1 isn't always a blessing, is it?
I don't even know. No, it's not one of my favorite spots this year. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's not like a slam dunk. I mean, you're pretty sure who you're gonna get, but it doesn't always turn out. But anyways, I decided to go toward the end here. I got the 11, and the rest, I believe, are full.
Let's do it.
All right,
Here we go. I am on the clock.
Got in. Awesome. Mark's ready. Daniel's ready. Yeah, we do this every Thursday, and we'll start to pick up the pace. We'll do a little bit more of the actual mocks, not just the best ball drafts. As we get closer to the season. Yeah, definitely. Only have so many spots. Yeah, just watching here, even if you're not in this draft, it's always great. Get an idea of who might go where, and just hang out. Let's talk football.
That's right. All right, Bobby Digital, where are you at? We have not had an auto pick in like a few weeks. Don't be the first, Bobby Digital.
Yeah, I don't see a green dot. That's not encouraging.
Yeah, where are you at, Bobby?
Obviously, you just joined.
All right. Well, at least it's gonna auto him Saquon. Maybe he'll be back for his next pick. There he is. He just went green. Come on, Bobby. Well, you're gonna get Saquon. All right, Bobby. Take yourself off auto for your next pick.
Yeah. Let's do that now. Bobby Digital. I've been listening to a lot of Wu-Tang lately. Just saw them in concert, the Final Chamber. So it's appropriate with Bobby Digital.
Is this their alleged final concert ever?
Allegedly, yes. I mean, it's in the title, so it has to be final, right?
Yeah, until like 3 years from now when they're all broke again.
Yeah, exactly.
then they got to go on tour again.
You never know. Okay. Well, he took himself off auto. That's a good sign.
Yes.
And we're doing, just a reminder, we mix it up sometimes. This is full PPR, 2 running back, 3 receiver, 1 flex, right?
Yeah, you know what? I was thinking about it because sometimes we like have PPR. Sometimes we do like 2 running back, 2 wide receiver. But I'm like, why? Why do we just do the same? All right, now Coin Man, isn't this Ray? Come on, Ray, you're green.
Come on.
All right. Pretty sure Coin Man is Ray.
Well, I know. It looks like he's active.
Yeah, he's got the green. He's got a green dot.
An inauspicious start. We'll see if we can correct. There you go. He's back online too. And it is possible. Not throwing shade at Sleeper, but sometimes, right, there's server issues or something. There's people say it doesn't refresh or whatever. So it's possible.
It's possible. And look, it's the first round. I mean, Bobby got autoed Saquon. Ray got autoed Amon-Ra. It's not the worst thing. It's not like they're getting autoed their, third tight end or something.
Right. Exactly. There are no bad picks in round 1 until the season starts.
I was gonna say, until it's like week 5 or something, and then it's like, oh crap.
All right, I'm going to try
Henry over CMC, huh? Interesting.
Yeah, can't go wrong. There's 0 risk with Derrick Henry, like literally 0.
0 risk.
0. Only running back out there. Guaranteed to smash. Can't say that about Achane, but look, PPR on a per game basis, top 5 running back, get him in round 2. Yeah, I mean,
we were talking about this on the stream yesterday. I think with Jonnu gone, I legitimately think Devon Achane is going to catch over 100 passes this year.
Exactly. That's exactly right. I mean, you figure it can't help him that much because he was already nearly a first round pick, and in some places is so. I mean, it just puts him up there basically with CMC, except that he doesn't have the injury history of CMC. Now he also doesn't have the history of being the number 1 player in all fantasy like CMC. So there's that. But yeah, round 2 is, he shouldn't make it past the first 20 picks ever.
No way.
So I know,
and it's more. Here's what happens a lot, right? Like, if you remember, and I get plenty wrong, and I could still be wrong about Christian McCaffrey this year. The season hasn't started, but if you remember, early in the offseason, I was taking Christian McCaffrey in our best ball drafts, in our mock drafts, every time in the second round when he was on the board. And I said, get as much of him as you can now, because once, everybody starts waking up to the fact that he's healthy, right, and he's okay, he's going to become a first rounder. And now he rarely makes it out of the first round. Well, this is what's going to happen with Achane. Everybody's going to start, all the fantasy channels out there are going to start, because this is just how it works. Like, there's no unique thoughts in fantasy football anymore. It's like everybody just hears what everybody else says, and they just start saying it. So they're all going to start talking about how, Jonnu Smith, Devon Achane, where they were top, they were both top 15 in design targets last year. That's going to go to Achane. Achane's going to catch a bazillion passes, and then Achane's going to be, I bet Achane's going to be a first rounder by the time late August gets here. That's what I'm trying to say.
It wouldn't be surprising. You're up for 2. So,
yeah.
Thing is, we can't put all the running backs in round 1 because everyone now, of course, Deontay with his landing spot, you got to be a first rounder. Now CMC's a first rounder. Achane's a first rounder. Gibbs is still a first rounder. I don't know if that just makes for better receiver value in round 2, but it also depends where you're drafting. Let's see. All right. JT, again, great value there. Kind of surprised to see Bucky go before JT.
Yeah, people are very high on Bucky this year.
I'm not out or anti-Bucky. I just feel like we shouldn't be putting him over guys like JT.
Exactly.
Let's see. I'll get to some of these comments because I got a little while before my turn. But this is definitely worthy comment. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate you. Yeah, don't forget. Now it's easy to just get caught up watching and forget. Every time you hit the thumbs up button, an angel gets its wings, and it helps us. Clayton wanted that Gianti CMC start. I don't know that you'll ever get that again unless you happen to pick 11th or 12th, and those guys both happen to fall. I don't know if they're both. It's possible. I could see one of them falling to the early second round, but
I think
I wouldn't count it.
Yeah, I think the only chance you have is you have to take CMC in the first round and then hope Genti falls. That's what I think has to happen. I just don't think the days of CMC falling are over, and it's only going to get worse. I say worse, meaning his ADP is only going to go up because training camp's going to start, and there's going to be clips of him on X of him ripping off long runs, looking great. Kyle Shanahan talking about it, and his ADP is just going to go up and up and up, right? And it's this is what I say, man. You can't be scared. You can't be scared of what? Oh, what if he gets hurt? What if he gets hurt? Okay. He gets hurt. You lose. And that's it. He gets hurt, you lose. You know what I mean?
It's definitely possible. Well, then you do. That's why you draft Isaac Arenda.
Right. But what happens if he doesn't get hurt? You probably win. You probably win. Or at least, not so much now he's going to be a first rounder, and he might even be in the first half of the first round. But when he was the second rounder, that's if you guys CMC, in the early to mid second rounds and he doesn't get hurt this year, you win. You win.
Yep. And I bet in a lot of your casual leagues, I think CMC is going to be a first rounder more often than Gianti by the time draft season is in full effect.
Yes.
So I think if you're looking for that start, it's you're drafting 10, 11, or 12. You get CMC, and then Gianti falls to you in the round 2 because people, maybe in your league aren't wanting to take the rookie as a first round pick. I can see that happening, but I wouldn't count it.
Yeah, that's how I think you got to do it. If you're shooting for the CMC GNT stack, you got to take CMC first.
Yep. Okay. Other John, who is the member, got the membership here on YouTube. Keeper non-PPR can only start one running back. Interesting. Okay, he wants to know who'd you pick here. This is non-PPR. I'll make my pick.
I mean, do you have a running back yet?
That's a good question.
Because in non-PPR, I generally prefer the running back. So if I don't have a running back yet, then I'm going to go Bucky here.
Agree. I think I would probably go Bucky anyways, yeah.
Yeah, and assuming you can flex a running back, like I'm assuming you can flex a running back, then yeah, I'd probably still just go Bucky anyways. Now, if you can only start one running back, like there's just one running back slot and that's it. No flex. So you just start one. So you literally only start one running back. So if I already have drafted a stud running back, I'm probably not drafting another one because what good is Bucky going to do on my bench outside of making me feel good if I get an injury? But
sure.
So in that case, I'm in non-PPR, I'm going Evans. I mean, we just know this guy has a great chance to give you 1,000 yards and double-digit touchdowns, which in non-PPR is massive.
Right. Exactly. It doesn't mean you automatically have to go running back just because it's non-PPR. All right. So we got that. Let's see. Okay. Well, D, speaking of Bucky, keep that going. D, Manning's thinking Bucky more valuable than JT easily.
Yeah, Bucky's going to be that guy, that polarizing guy.
Yeah, the difference is for me that we know Rachaad White is still involved in third downs and catches and passes. It's not going to change in that sense. Bucky's not getting all the touches. JT basically is getting all the touches, and there's not a big gap between these two, but just like JT a little bit better. And so then we got the other side. Clayton again saying that Bucky's overvalued. It's fair to question, not assume, but question whether his efficiency will be the same as last year, whether Cohen leaving will change anything at all. I don't think it will. It's going to be the same system, same personnel and everything, but it's fair to question whether he'll do what he did all season long.
Right. That's the thing. It's that efficiency. And we saw that with the guy, we did see that with Achane last year. Even though Achane was still great, but he was great as a pass catcher, but his efficiency went way down, from the year before. So that's definitely my worry for Bucky, is if he can't maintain that crazy efficiency.
Right.
Let's go.
Okay, another John is clarifying here. He says it's 3 receivers and 1 running back. He said Hill was his keeper, and you have to put him back. That might be a good thing for you.
Yeah. Tet worthy Tet. All right.
Either way. Either way, you're good.
Yeah, that's a tough one there.
So I noticed right before me also paper saying sleeping on James Cook. James Cook is I think going to be another somewhat polarizing player. Sometimes we see him drop later than he usually does because I think people are worried that, the whole contract situation, maybe he's unhappy, maybe Buffalo's unhappy. I mean, unless we hear he says, I'm holding out until I get paid, I'm not going to play, I wouldn't make too much of it.
Yeah, I don't think James Cook is holding out.
No.
It doesn't make any sense to hold out. Like,
no,
you don't. Yeah, it's not going to help him going into next year. It's not like he still gets paid. Like, there's no sense in holding out. He's going to be there. He's going to play. He's probably going to play really hard because he's going to want to put some good stuff on tape for his potential free agent season. So, yeah, I still like Cook. I do think it's fair. I think it's valid. Some people talking about like the touchdown regression, but I think he still was like expected to score 10 touchdowns last year. Like, I don't think he far exceeded that. What did he have? Like 16 or 17 touchdowns. But if he gives you 8 to 10 touchdowns where you're drafting him, you're not going to complain about that.
No, I always say this. I'd rather have the player before he gets paid than after. And if he's got that motivation, then it just makes me want him even more in fantasy. I mean, I'm glad the Bills have said like, no, show us another season, show us more, because that's how it should be, right?
Right.
Okay. What do we got here? Oh man, really? Waddle and Ridley right before my turn.
Yeah, I'm starting to come around on like I gotta start taking some Waddle in those underdog drafts because I mean, I know he's burned us like 3 years in a row, but targets can't all go to Achane.
Well, I don't love Olave, but I like him better than the rest. The problem here is I like Odunze, but I already have DJ Moore, and I like Godwin, but I already have Mike Evans.
Yeah. You don't really want... I mean, it's okay. I guess it just increases your volatility, right, in this format when you have both of them.
Yeah, I don't like to put too many eggs in the same basket. What are we, round 6? All right. No, why not?
What do we got? Hawkinson.
Yeah, I think I'm now officially too irrationally high on Hawkinson this year. And I'm also thinking the receivers that I might consider here, I'm fine with whoever lands back to me the next round. I think that's really where I'm at. All right. Let's see. Obvious take here, NMB. Yeah, Waller gonna smash. I mean, I guess you don't you don't need to draft tight end early. You can just wait and get Darren Waller with the last pick.
Darren Waller. I can't believe.
Eminem, do you think Rashawn Johnson will be the Monty and Ben Johnson's offense? I've heard this take that he's going to have somebody to complement DeAndre Swift, and that it's Rashawn Johnson. But don't we kind of already know what Rashawn Johnson is?
Yeah, I think Rashawn Johnson could be the Monty in this offense in the sense that he vultures more touchdowns than we'd like.
Right.
From Swift, but I don't think he's going to be the Montgomery in the sense that he's going to get a lot of early down run. And, I don't know if you guys follow the Coach Speak Index, but they haven't really been talking up when I say they, I mean like Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator. They haven't really been talking up Rashawn Johnson much. It's been a lot of DeAndre Swift, and some Kyle Monin guy, however you pronounce his name.
I was gonna say the rookie's gotten some hype, and he was what, 6th round?
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I haven't drafted any Rashawn Johnson. I'm not going to draft any Rashawn Johnson. Will he score like 5 or 6 touchdowns this year? Maybe. Will he do anything else? I don't know.
Late rounds, very late round, best ball flyer pick for depth. Sure.
I think I'd rather honestly just get Monin guy though.
Well, yeah, I guess that's true. And I have more of him than I think I've took Rashawn Johnson once or twice. But I feel like this is a thing, exactly what you were saying. It's not coming from his performance in camp or the coach talking him up. I think this is just almost purely speculation on like
people. Yeah.
Hey, in Detroit, they had a second running back who wasn't the first one that was, and he was a veteran. So therefore, it's like an analogy that we want to make it a thing, and it's not necessarily a thing.
Right. I mean, yeah, you're right. No, you're totally right on that. Like everybody just wants to like compare 1-to-1, like as if it's the same situation. The thing with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs is they're both very good running backs. So, you know what I mean?
That's exactly what I think. I'll just say it without saying it, but it's true. It's like, okay, David Montgomery, objectively, even he was the guy before he went to Detroit, he was with Chicago, right? He was not amazing, but he was pretty effective. He was a pretty good running back, right? Before Ben Johnson and all that offense and Jahmyr Gibbs, before any of that, he was a pretty good running back. I don't think we can say Rashawn Johnson has been a pretty good running back the first 2 years. He's been horrible.
He's been horrible. And if it was true that like, oh, Ben Johnson likes to use his running backs this way, then that would only make sense that after Montgomery got hurt, we would have just seen Gibbs's role stay the same and they just use some other running back in Monty's role. It's not that it's that you have 2 good players at the same position. You want to get them both the ball. It's a luxury, right? It's a luxury. Bears don't really have that luxury. That's why I really like DeAndre Swift this year, because Ben Johnson has really talked up Swift. And not only has he talked up Swift, but he showed us in the draft by not doing anything. Remember how many times when we were streaming the draft, it was like the Bears are up. Okay, they're going to go running back here. Or the Bears make a trade. Oh, they're going to go running back here. And they never did. Right? They could have gotten Hampton. They could have gotten Judkins or Caleb or these guys, and they didn't. It's like, okay, that to me tells me that Ben Johnson is fine with Swift.
That's exactly right. Yeah, so short answer, no. Don't think Rashawn Johnson's the next Monty.
No.
Luis, I'm gonna ignore this. Luis Perez, PPR, 2 receiver, 2 running back, 1 flex. Keep Neighbors in the 5th or Bucky in the 10th.
Oh man,
that is tough.
If it's me, I'm doing Neighbors in the 5th, but I totally get if you want to do Bucky in the 10th because that's such ridiculous value. But I just think Neighbors has so much more upside than Bucky this year. I don't want to put Neighbors back into the player pool and lose out on Neighbors. So, I mean, I'm totally fine if you just want to take the value on Bucky here. 10th round Bucky is insane. But I mean, if Neighbors goes nuclear this year, which he absolutely could, and I put him back in the pool and somebody else gets him, I'm not going to be able to forgive myself.
Right. Even though I don't buy into it necessarily, and I get, like Clayton and others are making the case, like the efficiency might drop and, he might not be as good as he was second half last year. Okay, fine. But still, Bucky in the 10th is amazing. But there's a possibility that Bucky isn't quite as good, right? Or at least doesn't put up quite the numbers. Maybe he isn't an RB1. The only way I think Malik Neighbors isn't an absolute beast guaranteed top 10 is not top 5, not top 1 receiver this year is like that toe. That's the only thing is if the toe bothers him or he gets injured, which could happen to anyone.
Sure.
I don't see any way Neighbors isn't substantially better than last year. So I think you got to keep Neighbors.
Yeah. But man, Bucky in the 10th, that's crazy value.
Uh-huh. All right. Thomas. Not quite the same question. Superflex redraft. Guess this looks like a draft question. Who you're taking, Penix or Stroud?
I'm probably going Stroud. I mean, Tatum was saying yesterday that Vegas has Penix is like the third highest passing yards behind Mahomes and is it Mahomes and Lamar or something like that? Or no, Mahomes and Burrow? I'm like, really? What? I mean, look, Vegas knows. I mean, Vegas knows stuff, so I don't know what Vegas knows, but this doesn't.
Vegas
like
knows how to win, and the house knows how to win money. That's what I mean.
So it's like, why do they have I mean, like that's crazy to me. But yeah, I don't think Atlanta is going to be a super. I mean, they weren't even a super high volume passing offense last year. I'm going Stroud here.
It's close. It really is close, but I'm going to go Stroud just because I feel like this year we might see some positive regression in the sense that, Houston didn't need to pass as much last year because Mixon, they finally had a running back who was a bell cow, right? And Mixon was the man. Kind of the same thing that happened in Green Bay with Josh Jacobs going there, right? They didn't need to lean on their young quarterback as much. I think Mixon is a guy I worry about slowing down a bit. He's already now banged up in the preseason. That's why they're insuring him with guys like Chubb and drafting. But in general, I feel like Stroud should be better because they also patched up the offensive line to some extent. Look, I have nothing against Penix. I think he's solid, but they have Bijan Robinson, right?
Right.
Their defense, they finally did something to address that defense, which is just horrible. They got 2 high-end pass rushers in the draft. They made some moves, so their defense won't be as bad. So I feel like the volume would favor Stroud to some extent this year. I think overall these guys will be pretty close, though. It'll be pretty close. So this is almost a coin flip. What do you think about stacking up Falcons, Bijan, Penix, Bijan, Mooney stack in Superflex? Work. That's good.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all.
All right, here's a more general question. I'm trying to interpret this. All right, NMB. If your league prioritizes RBs, you just know they go earlier. Would you take the value at receiver? We kind of answer some variation of this question every week, right? Like, do you zig when they zag, or do you make sure you're not behind the 8 ball at that position?
Nah, I'm zigging when they zag. I mean, this is why I always championed 0 RB until really the last year or two, because usually it used to be in drafts, running backs would fly off the board and wide receivers would, be the value. And so it's like, well, am I going to draft the running back 8 or am I going to draft the wide receiver 2? Like, I'm going to take the wide receiver 2. Like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So if your league still drafts like that, where like you're on the clock, let's say at like pick 10 and 8 running backs and Jamar Chase have gone off the board, or let's say like 6, or like 7, like 5 running backs, and then like Chase, Jefferson, and CeeDee Lamb are off the board. Like, I'm not gonna take whoever the number 6 running back is just to get a running back when I can get the wide receiver 4. I don't know. My math is probably wrong on that, but you know what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying.
Oh yeah. I get it. And again, we have, it's a fair question. It's a great question. You'll see this, and we'll we'll start to talk more explicitly about this when it's realistically draft season. Our draft pilot, which we had last year, the draft lane, we don't like to just blindly follow rankings. You don't like to blindly follow ADP. And you also need to think of roster construction in terms of, what's the most logical player to take, not just based on position. Like, oh, well, I already have 3 receivers. I need a running back. I need a tight end. I shouldn't take another receiver. No, if that receiver that's available to you on the board is still substantially better than any running back or any tight end that's out there, you take the receiver, you worry about it later. You don't punt a position completely. I'm not saying you get the very last tight end out there, the very last quarterback. No, you have to be reasonable. It always depends who's there, but again, you don't want to feel like you have to take a position just because everyone else did this, or, oh, if I don't, then I might not get a top 10 running back. Oh, well, you don't need a top 10 running back before the season to be able to win, because your receivers will be better off for it. Or you also know that half the top 10 running backs in fantasy typically aren't drafted as top 10 running backs on draft day. So,
right.
He's following up saying he asked because he usually does this. Then it's like round 5 or 6. And then someone like Mike Evans or Devontae Smith is there. Well, then take Mike Evans. You can get Mike Evans or Devontae Smith in round 5 and 6, and you do it.
Yeah, just take them again. Grab them, because here's what happens in these leagues. Because I've played in leagues like this. Right, let's just grab. Hold on, I'm on the clock. Who's available at tight end? This would have been a nice spot for Jonnu normally, but not anymore. So here's what happens in these leagues usually. Yeah, okay. Maybe, you get to round 5 and 6 and Evans and Devonta Smith are out there, but at some point, these teams that have like a ton of running backs are like, crap, I don't have any wide receivers. And they all stop drafting running backs. And now every time it comes to your pick, you just get to choose the best, like, RB2 on the board. Yeah, you're not going to have an RB1, but it's okay because you could potentially have 2 or 3 wide receiver ones. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's fine. If you have 2 or 3, like if you have 2 wide receiver ones and a wide receiver 2 and 2 RB2s, you should win your league. You should win. Now, of course, I know there's many factors like the head luck, the injuries, whatever. But you know what I'm saying? Like if I give you 2 top 12 wide receivers and another, say, like top 20 wide receiver, and then I give you 2 solid RB2s, it shouldn't matter that you have 2 solid RB2s, because everybody else in your league is starting wide receiver 2s and wide receiver 3s. And there's only so many RB1s, they can't all have 2 RB1s. You know what I mean?
No.
So yeah, I'm not gonna worry about it. And yeah, last year was an outlier because the running backs actually stayed healthy. They actually were better than wide receivers last year. So yes, every now and then there's going to be a year like that, but I don't think we're going to see that again this year.
Yeah, last year really did throw everyone off because every veteran free agent running back was an absolute beast, which usually is the opposite of what happens.
Right.
Just happened. But ADP adjusts accordingly. Back to Thomas. Fair question is, in a Superflex 12-teamer, is 3 quarterbacks a must, meaning 3 actual startable quarterbacks? Because he's got Penix, he's got May, and I think if those are your 2 quarterbacks, you want a third.
Yeah, if those are my 2 quarterbacks, I would prefer a third. But I also think this is like, you got to know your league, because I'm in a Superflex, like, because you say it's redraft, so I think that makes it like, because it's redraft, I think you can get away with 2 quarterbacks a little bit more, because when there are injuries, and there's going to be injuries at quarterback, you can at least potentially go grab the new starting quarterback, right? Like if the reports are true, and let's say the Browns are like start Dylan Gabriel this year or something, and he struggles or he gets hurt, and they turn to Joe Flacco, you could probably go grab Joe Flacco. Or if they turn to Shador, you can go grab Shador. So, so I think you can get away with it a little bit more in redraft. It also, of course, depends on your league. Like I said, I'm in a redraft Superflex league, and one thing I've learned is I always had this thing of like, okay, we got to get like 2 really good QBs and a third QB who's solid and a starter. But then what I realized is like, most teams in the league don't do that at quarterback, and there's guys available on the waiver wire to us during the season that are are capable Superflex QBs, not QB1s, but QB2s. And instead of us drafting more high leverage positions like running back or wide receiver, we pass on them, to get like that third good QB or that fourth good QB. And it's like, I don't think we need to do this. So this is where like knowing your league also helps.
Yeah, absolutely. Depends. I mean, need to say it depends who that third quarterback is. Don't need one just for the sake of having one. Then let's see, what was I going to put up? All right, so this is an interesting must be a dynasty trade. B-Dog gave up a bunch of Jalen's and a Javante and a first rounder for Breece Hall and looks like Pop Douglas. Was it worth it?
Probably. I mean, Jalen McMillan, Jalen Royals, Jalen Coker, Javante Williams. I mean, are we really like, I don't want to call this like the poo-poo platter, but it's kind of like.
Kind of is. That was my first thought immediately. I was going to say, here's a platter trade.
Exactly, right? But you did give up your first rounder, so I don't know where that first rounder sits. Right. If that's like, if your team if that's going to be like a top 2 or 3 pick, and Breece doesn't become who we think he should be or who we thought he was going to be, then yeah, you might be kicking yourself. But I think if Breece becomes the guy we expected him to be, then this trade is totally fine. Because again, are you really going to miss McMillan, Royals, Coker, or Javante? Probably not.
Oh, let's face it. This is a first round pick for Breece Hall. That's what it is. It's a first round for Breece Hall. If it's a late first rounder, mid to late first rounder, it could be okay if Breece Hall is still RB1, somewhere in the RB1 landscape. If he's in a committee or, he's just not efficient, if you get the Breece Hall from last year, no, it wasn't worth it. Right. But this is definitely one of those trades that you just have to say to be determined. Like, there's no way to know. We have no idea exactly how Breece Hall is going to be used. I wouldn't even say how he's going to look. How is he going to be used? Because we've heard 2 different sides here. So, yeah, if Breece Hall is a stud, then yeah, it was worth it. I think, is it worth doing this trade? Is it worth taking a chance to find out? Sure. I'll always take a chance because you don't know who you're going to get in the first round next year if he's going to be as good as Breece Hall. So, yeah, I think it's worth trying this trade. Sure.
Right.
NMB. Yeah, I think I saw this earlier. How comfy would you be having Hendy as your RB2? Assuming you have great wide receivers. Yeah, I'm totally happy with him as my RB2.
Yeah, I'd be totally fine with that. Totally fine with that. And look, if you're, going back to your league, like if everybody's going to draft running back early, I don't know if you know where your pick is yet. But if I had an early pick, like if I had a top 4 or 5 pick, and I know my league's going to go running back heavy, then yeah, I might take like a Gibbs, a Barkley, or a Bijan, and then just go full on anchor. And then just go 5, 6 straight rounds of wide receivers, and then yeah, grab a Henderson, grab a Swift, grab a Pollard, grab a Hampton. I'm trying to think of like the running backs that I really like in that range. If we, grab an Aaron Jones, grab Najee's, grab Connors, Monty's, Kamara's, who's undervalued, I feel like this year again. RJ Harvey's, like grab these guys, just grab a bunch of these guys. Because that's the thing, like if you get, let's say you get Bijan, and then like you stack them with 5 or 6 elite wide receivers, and Bijan stays healthy and is elite, and at least 3 of your wide receivers are elite out of your 5 or 6, which is not asking a lot. And then you just need 1 or 2 of those guys to hit. And like, how does your league beat you? How does your league beat you? They can't, unless they get really lucky. Like somehow they, draft 3 league-winning running backs or something, which could happen. But I mean, they got to get lucky against you,
right?
Now, if you have a pick later in the draft and you're staring at I mean, I do like Chase Brown, but I can't take Chase Brown in the first round. Like same with JT. Like I can't Bucky Irving. Like then I'm probably just gonna say, okay, fine, I'm gonna go 0 RB. But if I have an early pick, sure, I'll take one of those elite running backs, anchor them, and then just grab a bunch of RB2s later.
Yeah, and I think looking at where he's taken in this draft, I think that's perfectly fair value. That's pretty much where he should go. I will still put Harvey a little bit ahead of Henderson, but I feel like it's about right. Are you really, Clayton? You can take Caleb Williams. All right.
I mean, there's still, well, we did get a little bit of a QB run here, but there's still good QBs on the board.
Yeah. No, let's mix it up. Something I've not done.
I do not mind Fields here. I mean, yeah, Fields is risky, but he's got that rushing upside.
Yeah, I really thought I could get, if not Kyler Murray, then Caleb Williams. The paper took Murray. Didn't really need a second quarterback because you got Joe Burrow. So I guess I miscalculated that, but that's fine. I mean, at this point, no big difference. All right,
Pitts.
Well, that's it.
Kyle Pitts.
Mr. Still Irrelevant. Mr. Always Irrelevant. Okay. Let's break down these teams, see what happened here. Starting with Chris at number 1. Chase, JT, Harrison. Probably got Harrison there. J-Mo Worthy, Addison Jennings, Aaron Jones, Najee Harris, Tootin, Kincaid, Nix, and there he is, Kyle on guy.
I just took him because we were talking about him, honestly.
I know. I do that sometimes, like just for fun.
Yeah.
I thought you were kind of out on Aaron Jones. I mean, I know it's good value, but I guess is that what you were thinking? Like the best available?
Yeah, I'm not out on Aaron Jones. I think Aaron Jones is fine. It's more like, yeah, when you're in this range here, I mean, like Tracy, I'm not really in on Mason. Sure, I like Mason, but I like Jones more. I'm not drafting Etienne, Ramondre, too thick. Yeah, it's just who else is good here?
Right. No, he's
like,
still on value.
Really, when I look at this, like I'm fine with like my first 6 picks, and I like Jennings a lot. But I think if I would have replaced Jennings with Pollard or Swift, I probably would like it more. Because, I mean, did I really need Jennings when I already have Chase, Harrison, Jameson, Worthy, and Addison? Probably not. And because, running backs are drying up, it would be nice to have Pollard, because then it just gives me a little, would feel a little bit better about my RB2 slot. But I think Jones and Najee should be okay. Tootin is risky, but the potential's there. Mon and Guy, obviously a dart throw. But, I mean, overall, I'm happy with this team.
Well, yeah, for going hero RB, I mean, your receivers, there's no doubt you're going to have a start-worthy receiver at every slot and in the flex pretty much every week, even after Addison gets suspended. So, there you go. Nick's a good value there too.
That's true. Maybe I'll be happy I drafted Jennings when Addison misses the first 3 weeks.
Yeah. Well, you never know. But yeah, a very solid team. Okay, so Thomas at number 2 went Bijan, Josh Allen, nice and early, JSN, Kamara, DK, Connor, Jacoby, Shaheed, or kind of early for him, Tracy, the double tight end at Andrews and Kraft, running the Arthur Smith 13, maybe. And then Jalen Wright and D-Hop.
Yeah, I don't generally like going QB this early, especially in these drafts. I mean, I know I'm Thomas. I don't know how you draft with us, but as you can see, quarterbacks tend to go later in these drafts than they do in most drafts because we talk about that a lot. But I think for going Josh Allen early, you still got a good team. I mean, Bijan, Kamara, Connor, running back, that's solid. You got JSN. Okay, I don't love DK Metcalf, but whatever. I mean, but Myers is your wide receiver 3, I think is fine. You don't have to flex Shaheed because you're probably flexing Connor. I don't even mind the 2 tight ends there because I think when you're drafting tight end that late, I'm okay getting 2 good tight ends because if one of them sucks and the other one's good, you're okay. It's better than going to the waiver wire. So I don't mind this team at all, even with going QB so early.
Yeah, and you can totally go QB early, and not doesn't mean your team is crippled, but it's solid. The only pick I think wasn't great was Shaheed. Didn't need to take him nearly that early, but overall, you got good value in pretty much all your picks. They aren't all the picks I would have made there. Like I'm like I said, I'm a little leery about JSN this early. Kamara, like DK, but overall, you put together a good draft. And then we got Bobby Digital, the RZA at 3, Saquon Bowers, nice and early 2, Chase Brown, Lamar. Okay, so here's what we got. We got QB and tight end early, plus 2 running backs. So these receivers cut it for you with McMillan, Debo, Diggs, Higgins, Kirk, and Palmer. Did not need Travis Kelce there. I know that.
Yeah, when you're going Bowers that early, you're pretty much saying like he's going to be a stud. There's no reason. I would just probably rather take another wide receiver there. I mean, Barkley, Chase Brown is great. Bowers, I still think Bowers is going to be one of the best tight ends. It's not like I'm think Bowers is going to be a bust, and Lamar is going to be great. So you're good there. Tet, Debo, Diggs, Higgins. You need to start 3 of these guys every week. Obviously, that's going to could be very, very, very rough. I mean, Kirk Palmer, I don't know if that could save your team here. So I will say, though, that being said, for waiting until round 5 for your first wide receiver in a 3 wide receiver PPR league, I mean, no, I guess really you got to start 4 of these guys because one of them's got to be your flag. So, I mean, I think you probably did it about as well as you could have. Man, I would be terrified to have this team.
Yeah. You can pull this off. Again, you can wait to get receivers if you get the right receivers. Again, Debo is not the pick I would have made there. I would rather have Jennings or Pearsall. Diggs, okay, I'm fine. Maybe I'm too low on Diggs. Higgins, yeah. So it to me, it's more about the actual receivers you took than the strategy itself. And then, yeah, there's just no need to take Kelce unless you think you're going to flex Kelce. You know what? You could do that, right? Like, hey, I'm kind of uncertain about my receivers. I got a couple rookies here. Kelce, I got him for a steal. He's my flex. Could do that.
Yeah, if you believe in that sort of thing, I guess.
All right. So Steelers fan, pretty happy with his team once again.
Let's see.
Let's see. UD Steel Boy. I'm assuming the 2. Went Gibbs and Bucky, Devontae, Jalen Hurts, Pickens, Ingram, Caleb Johnson, Cup, Mason, Mims, Liggett, Algier, and Dobbs.
So Steel Boy and I feel like we disagree a lot because I don't know if this is the best team here. Gibbs, Bucky, fine. Adams is my wide receiver 1. Okay. Pickens is my wide receiver 2. Okay. Cup, Mims, Liggett, Dobbs is my wide receiver 3. Hard pass, please. Flexing Caleb, Mason, or one of those wide receivers. No, thank you. Hurts fine. Ingram at the 6. I could just wait and get like Njoku 4 rounds later, or Goddard or somebody. Yeah, I don't know. Steel Boy and I don't seem to be in agreement when it comes to best teams.
Yeah, I'll say this. You got Caleb Johnson. Very well done. If you want to say I'm going to put George Pickens as my wide receiver 2 over guys like Waddle, Ridley, Hunter, so okay, fine. Maybe that pays off. but you didn't need Ingram that soon. I like Ingram this year, but I don't like Ingram in the 6th round. You could have waited, and if you miss him, oh well, you miss him. You should have probably gone receiver there. And then Cup, I just don't know. Got some concerns about Cup. So I think you started out fine, but it was a little reachy in the middle rounds. What about Paper? Paper went Jefferson, Higgins, McBride, Devonta Smith, Burrow, and then a slew of running backs with Monty Pollard, Judkins, Blue, and Benson. Keon Coleman thrown in there. Warren, and you probably don't need the backup tight end. But now I just realized that he only had 4 receivers total, so we might be flexing Warren. And then Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I could be flexing Judkins, I guess, or Keon Coleman if you believe in that sort of thing. I mean, I love the first 4 picks. It's hard to pass on McBride at the 3-5. I get that. And I mean, you got Jefferson, Higgins, Devonta Smith. Again, I know you got the Burrow Higgins stack. It's nice, but man, in these drafts, I would just rather wait on QB. You don't need to stack as much in these drafts. Like if you could have gotten a Hunter, a Sutton, a Waddle, really a lot of wide receivers that went after Burrow as your wide receiver 3, and then got Monty Pollard, Judkins. You know, I think I'd like it a little better, but because you'd be flexing one of those wide receivers, then you'd be starting like Monty and Pollard with Judkins potentially as a starting running back too. I'd like that team a little bit better, and you can still get QBs like Purdy, Nix, Dak, Baker, Kyler, Caleb. I mean, there's good QBs late in these drafts. So, yeah, I think the Burrow pick is where it went wrong. I think if you had gone one of those wide receivers to just lock in that flex and then just waited a little bit on QB, like if you had taken Purdy over Coleman or whoever you like there, Baker, I think this would be a really strong team. As it is, I think could be very risky.
Yeah, and well, Paper actually agrees with you. So he went Joe, but should have gone with a Waddle or Calvin Ridley. Yeah, and that's true. And it's funny because then he follows up saying he's a big believer in Kyler Murray. Well, then just wait and get Kyler. You already got Kyler Murray. I mean, you didn't know, you were going to get him later, but you could have taken him in round 10, 11 if you really wanted to. And,
right.
So,
yeah,
that's all right. That's why we do these. These are mocks. Thomas, by the way, before we go on, Thomas with the super chat. Thank you. Thomas wants to know about this team. You got Penix, May, Bijan, Ashton Jonty, Kyron Higgins, Waddle. It's tight end premium. Hawkinson is toward the top of available players. Okay. Round 8. Is this like a slow draft you're doing or what? Okay, so he's got some quarterbacks left. This is why he's asking about the 3rd QB. Now this makes sense. So he's got a quarterback potentially on the board would be his 3rd after Penix and May. Wants to know if he should pass on those QBs. He said Hawkinson is available. If it's tight end premium, I'm taking Hawkinson.
I know, but man, it'd be hard for me to pass on Cam Ward here.
Yeah.
It'd be really hard for me to pass on Cam Ward here. Like,
well, this is
what other tight ends are still on the board? Like, if there are other tight ends that I still like that I feel like could make it back to me. Yeah. I mean, it really would depend on what other tight ends are on the board as well.
You think it's 3 receivers, 3 flex.
And your wide receiver, your only wide receiver is who? You only have 1 wide receiver right now?
No, Higgins and Waddle.
Oh man, I might just go. I mean, 3 wide receiver, 3 flex.
Those are the best receivers available. I don't think I would take any of those guys over a quarterback or a tight end.
Because in a 3 wide receiver, 3 flex, why are we grabbing so many running backs? I don't know. This is tough. You're in a tough spot here, like because you grabbed 3 running backs. I hope you can start all 3 of those running backs. I guess you could flex them, but
you could flex them. I obviously, we haven't gotten to my team yet, but I'm big on Hawkinson. If it's tight end premium, I would take Hawkinson. And if there's that many quarterbacks available, you should be able to get one of them on the way back, I would think. Even if
Yeah, I mean, I'd be okay with Tua or Geno as well. So maybe go Hawk. I honestly might even consider Jacoby Myers here.
could do that. All right, and then back real quick to Daniel saying, got Jennings, not Shaheed, but somebody out there had to take him before me. I don't know who that was.
I mean, you could have taken Pearsall.
Yeah, well, I would have taken Pearsall. I actually was hoping Pearsall would fall to me. I didn't think he would, especially with Clayton ahead of me. But yeah. No, you can't be blamed there. Okay, Daniel, you confused me because on the thing, if you're in team 2, it says Thomas, but on here it says
know,
Daniel.
right? I know, confused.
All right, but thank you, Daniel. Let's go on to where we Coin Man at team 6. Sun God, Jacobs, Hill, Kittle, Hunter, Mixon, Pearsall, Scatterboo, Purdy, Kyle Williams, J.K. Dobbins, Jermaine Burton, my boy.
Jermaine Burton.
Yeah. That wasn't the last round either. That was round 12.
That's got to be our first. That's got to be our first Jermaine Burton. Sun God was an auto, so fine. I mean, there's definitely wide receivers I prefer over Sun God. He was an auto. Jacobs there is fine. Tyreek, I guess. I mean, if it doesn't happen for Tyreek this year, he's done. I mean, it's like he's done. Kittle, Hunter's your wide receiver 3. Mixon is your RB2. Pearsall is your flex. Scatterboo potential flex. I mean, you're okay roster construction wise. It's just not a lot of guys I love. Like, it's okay. It's all right. I don't know. Not a lot of guys I love on this team.
I think it's solid. I mean, you're really hoping that the vets here remain. Well, that Mixon is as good as last year, and that Hill is better than last year. So, but I think it's a pretty solid draft overall. I mean, yeah, that's what I could say. It's solid. Twisted Bliss, CeeDee Lamb, Lad McConkey, McLaurin, Flowers, and then went Harvey, Pacheco, Golden, B-Rob, Besh, Rashad White, Dak, Goddard, and Wandale.
So, great start. I mean, I'm not super high on Zay. There's other guys I would have preferred, but as your wide receiver 4, it's fine. I'm even kind of okay with that Golden pick because I really like him. I like Besh, but I don't know if I would have gone Besh there because, I mean, we're staring at RJ Harvey, Isaiah Pacheco, Brian Robinson, and Rashad White as your only running backs. I think I'd like another shot on somebody that could give me some potential at running back when I already have Lamb, Ladd, Terry, Flowers, and Golden. But overall, a lot of players I like on this team. So I think it's a good team. I think just a little nitpicky. I mean, and getting Dak and Goddard late is great. So just a little nitpicky. I think I would have liked to stack one more running back where you took Bash. But it's nitpicky.
Yeah, agree with that. Overall, this might be my favorite draft so far. The pick I would switch is instead of Pacheco, I would have gone Connor or Monty or Caleb Johnson or one of those guys. But I love the first 5 rounds, and overall, I think it's very solid. You wait on QB and tight end, and I think that's the move here. So pretty good. Miguel, what is up on team 8? Went Neighbors, AJB, Garrett Wilson, Kenneth Walker, Sutton, Odunze, Swift, Mahomes, Etienne, Harris, Garendo, Braylon Allen, and then Jake Ferguson.
I mean, this is a great start. Neighbors. I mean, again, we're splitting hairs here. I go Ladd over Brown, but it's fine. Great value for Garrett Wilson. Love Walker. Sutton, Odunze. I mean, as your wide receiver 4 and 5, nothing wrong with that. Swift. I like Swift a lot. Mahomes, fine. You wait until 8th round, it's fine. I mean, the bench is good too. I don't love Etienne, but I mean, Trey Harris, Garendo, Braylon Allen, Ferguson. I think this might be my favorite team so far.
I'm probably going to agree. It's pretty close. These two teams at 7 and 8 are similar. You know, obviously this was running back in round 4 instead of round 5, but overall very similar builds. But yeah, I like it. Actually, I like what you did at running back with these high-end handcuffs and Grando and Braylon Allen. Waited at tight ends. You know, Mahomes, still odd to say Mahomes is fine. Like, he's fine. So, good. All right. What about Clayton? Didn't get CMC, but he got Ashton Gianti, Drake London, Rasheed Rice, Hampton, Waddle, Henderson, of course, Ayuk, Downs, Ramondre, and Joku Bateman, Dylan Sampson, and Caleb Williams.
Yeah, a lot of guys I like on this team. Like I said, I think we have to. I know Waddle's burned us 3 years in a row, but we have to, I think, give him another chance here in the 5th round based on Jonnu being gone. I remember Jonnu was had the second highest target share on the team. I had the highest target share on the team last year. It's crazy. So there's a lot of targets up for grabs now. Fine with. I mean, I know you got 3 rookie running backs, which is very risky, but you should be okay there. I mean, Genti should be fine, and then you just need one of the other guys to be there. I love the Njoku value, of course. I think he's one of the best values on the board. Caleb also a great value, so very close to those other 2 teams. I don't know if I quite love it as much just because of, like you don't have those elite wide receivers, although I might be too low on Rice. We'll see. But definitely one of the stronger teams.
Agree. And I like not even just trying to mess with you or anything. I think the only pick I don't love is the Ayuk pick, but it's fine for where you took him. I mean, I guess if you just don't know if you want to flex him, what are you doing at the start of the season? In other words, you want to flex a rookie running back who also might not be great to start the season, right? That's the only thing, the risk you take, not so much with your first running back, but with Hampton and Henderson, they may not be the guy early in the season, right? When you go so rookie heavy and your flex for where you took him is Ayuk, my point is the first 4 weeks of the season, you're going to have maybe some very inconsistent, sketchy production from Hampton, Henderson, Ayuk. And then who knows what you're getting from Downs. Now, I guess you could say, well, I got Ramondre. So if Ramondre is the guy, so that's okay. But you know what? We don't build to win in week 1 through 4. We build to win in weeks 14 through 17. MC FizzBiz. All right. Nico, Puka, Kyron, JD, Ridley, Hubbard, Judy, Igbuka, Warren Sharps, Jalen McMillan, Rico Dowdle, and Brenton Strange. I think already I can tell this is one of my favorite teams.
I mean, Nico Puka is quite the start there. Kyron in the 3rd, still great value. JD, got an elite quarterback. Ridley is your wide receiver 3, love it. Chuba is your running back 2, fine. Flexing Judy or Igbuka. I mean, I don't think you're flexing Judy probably because I really don't see the path for Igbuka. Maybe I'm missing it. Yeah, I think starting lineup here, this might be the strongest team. I mean, Nico, Puka, Ridley, Judy with Kyron and Chuba and JD. Brenton Strange, fine as your tight end. Yeah, I think this is has the best starting lineup, definitely so far.
Yeah, and you did manage to snipe me on Ridley, was all ready to take him. Overall, though, I did let you have Puka there because I decided to try something different. I like to not ever do the same thing twice. So here we go. Double hero bionic RBs who will not get hurt all year. Derrick Henry and Devon Achane. Zero risk there. Evans, Moore, Olave, Shakir, Reed, Hollywood, and Tillman are my receivers. I went Hawk and I went Fields at quarterback, and the backup running backs don't matter because my top 2 running backs are going to play all 17 weeks.
I mean, splitting hairs here, I'd like it a little bit better if it was CMC Achane, but nothing wrong with Henry Achane. Evans, DJ Moore, Olave, Shakir, Reed, you should be fine at wide receiver. If Olave can't get it going with his terrible quarterbacks, this team, and Jaden Reed does what Jaden Reed does, this team may be hurting a little bit at wide receiver. That's okay because you got Henry and Achane. You got a good tight end. I love that Fields pick. So I can't say on paper it's like one of my favorites just because I'm a little worried about the wide receiver room, but it's definitely one of the stronger teams.
I'll take that. Yeah, I really thought I was going to get either Ridley or Waddle. So Olave's fine, but I would have preferred he was my 4th receiver on the way back. Didn't work out that way, but still, it's okay. Like, I don't hate it. Going double RB isn't my MO usually, but that's why I did it. See what it looks like. And then Diesel Power at the 12 to BTJ, CMC, Breece Hall, James Cook. And then Godwin, Laporta, Mooney, Pittman, Burden, Baker, Ray Davis, Eckler, and Kyle Pitts. So what do you think of that 3 RB start?
Yeah, the very rare, I guess we would call this hero wide receiver draft. You take 1 elite wide receiver and then 3 straight running backs. But I mean, I get it. It's hard to pass on James Cook at the start of the 4th round there. Obviously, this is going to come down to your 3 running backs. That you've got 3 running backs who could potentially be very, very good this year, or could potentially not be very, very good this year or injured. So very risky there. Then you got Godwin, Mooney, Pittman, Burden. You need at least 2 of those guys because we're going to bank on your 3 running backs being good. So you're going to flex one of them. Godwin is a wide receiver 2. Look, nothing wrong with that. Mooney, Pittman, Burden is a wide receiver 3. I don't hate it. I can't say I love it. I don't hate it. I think if I could go back in time, I would not have taken Laporta, and I would have grabbed like an Odunze, an Addison, a Jennings, a Jacoby Myers, somebody like that to make me feel a little better about my wide receiver 3, and then just got a tight end later, not named Kyle Pitts, preferably. But you got Baker there, so I think overall, for the way you drafted, it worked out pretty well. Just that one little change, if I could have passed on Laporta and gotten one of those wide receivers, and then you still potentially could have gotten like a Dallas Goedert, a Jake Ferguson, a Prentice Strange later, maybe even a David Njoku.
Yeah, just because even if you think Laporta's going to bounce back and be a stud, your wide receiver 3 is either Mooney or Pittman. It's okay, just not great. But overall, I think you can do this. I mean, if you're flexing a running back, if that's a top 12 running back, then yeah, you're gladly flexing him. So you're taking a chance on Breece Hall. That's, like we talked about earlier, a chance worth taking. For what it's worth, shout out just to Interflux being on here. What is up? Khalil Shakir is a massive value. So there you go. Thank you for the confirmation bias there. All right. Well, there we go. That's the draft. Now, some of you are asking about underdog drafts. We do underdog drafts on other days. There will be more to come. So just keep it locked here. Make sure you're subscribed. For some reason you're watching, you've been watching, you noticed right there where the subscribe button is. If you haven't selected it yet, do it. Notifications, turn those on so you know as soon as we go live. We're doing multiple drafts every week, and of course every Thursday we'll do these on Sleeper with you. So just make sure you're ready when we go on next. And videos still coming out every single week. We're here for you, and it's just going to get busier because we're almost there. We're getting there. Training camp is almost in the air, a couple weeks away, and then we will be there. All right. Yeah, I know. One more. Sorry, guys. Got other stuff to tend to, but keep it locked here, and we'll see you on the next one.